Good morning. Let's combine our readings of verse 14 that we talked about in Philippians chapter 2 with verse 15. So verse 14, do all things without grumbling or disputing. Verse 15, that you may be blameless and innocent. So immediately we begin to realize that when we grumble and mutter and whine and complain, and we get in arguments and we seek to be argumentative, stirring people up, that we're losing a sense of blamelessness and innocence. That you may be blameless and innocent, children of God without blemish. And then this is the key idea this morning. Pay close attention. Been on Twitter lately? Facebook? Any social media? Watch the news? Right? Listen to this. That you may be blameless and innocent children of God without blemish in the midst of a crooked and twisted generation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. We think about shining as lights in the world by sharing the gospel. Fair enough. We think about shining as lights in the world by being excellent at what we do. Fair enough. Shining as lights in the world by doing something of mark, distinctive, something that will be eternal in its impact. And again, fair enough. Here's what we're underselling. We're underselling our ability, the value of our ability to control our tongues, the value of what it means when we have a good attitude, the value of what it means when we just don't enter in to the banter, when we just don't enter into the give and take, when we just don't enter into the anger and the vitriol, when our adverbs are good, when we don't have an attitude, when we aren't met with anger and we return with anger, when we don't give as good as we get, right? So the starting point, verse 14, about not grumbling and not being given to argument, here he tells us that there's a twisted generation. And that twisted generation of verse 15, that crooked generation, is twisted and crooked by implication because they're given to all those things. They're given to anger and vitriol and being upset all the time and complaining and griping and moaning. And when you don't, you shine like a light, he says. You shine as lights in the world. So sometimes it's not the magnanimous, amazing thing. It's just when everybody else is ready to complain and moan and whine and gripe and argue and get angry, you don't. You don't. And you shine like a light. So my encouragement to you is, don't look for the big, what we think is the big shine. Recognize that God is telling us that your light shines when in the simplest of ways, you have a disposition that is at contrast with the normative disposition of the world. Dear God, help us do this. Help us do this. A lot can be won for the kingdom by these simple things. Take care.